to this time.
Can I just change?
I think I'm good. I think it's saved from last time. I'm recording. I'm good.
Okay. What's good?
Week 7 is the charm. We got this figured out. Week 6, whatever week it is, who knows?
7, 6, 7, 6.
Sounds right.
There you go. Good. I moved closer to the window so I could have some sun, a little sun.
I did too. I determined that the front desk in my office had a cooler backdrop than the dingy conference room. So the looks that I get from everybody walking past, they're like, "Who the fuck is this idiot?" Just is awesome.
Just wave to it. You should hold up a sign. Recording a podcast. Come on in.
I thought about it, like getting like one of those little lights for over the door, just recording that lights up.
On air.
It's coming. Purple one.
Figure out. I don't know if this is going to be the spot I'm going to permanently do this in or not. I might go upstairs in the gaming suite eventually. We'll see. But who knows? So what's good?
Oh man, a little bit of everything. I was down literally about like an hour after we did the show Monday. Like I started feeling super shitty, so I've been at half speed for like the last 4 days. I got a little bit of the Batman voice still going on, but I walked in this morning. I told Dave, I'm like, I'm just over being sick. Like I'm done. I'm gonna go back to being normal. And he just laughs. He's like, you would actually just do that. Like, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm back to 100%. Life is good.
There you go. Well, it's not coronavirus, right? Because that may prevent us from flying to Myrtle Beach in 3 weeks if this keeps going. So
is that real life?
Yeah, they're starting to curb domestic flights now. Not even just international flights, domestic flights too. Yep. It's not good, man.
I just got an email from a hotel client. They're saying, hey, coronavirus ban is kind of fucking with our corporate meetings. Can we work on some like ideas or incentives? And I thought she was messing with me because I thought it was a joke. And I was like, what, like complimentary Clorox wipes with every meeting? And she's like, LOL, not kidding. Come up with something. I'm like, oh, all right. May have underestimated this.
Oh, it's so overblown. I said this on Facebook yesterday, like, because Siobhan's a nurse. So
I saw that post, yeah.
Yeah, until she tells me to, like, I'm just gonna live my life. I'm not gonna be crippled by anything until it's an imminent threat, and she comes home and be like, all right, we need to pack the house or get it fumigated. Like, I'm not worried about it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, like flu season's been a thing forever. Like, like.
Ugh, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I texted you earlier, and this is it's funny. It's funny how since we aligned ourselves, like the world just keeps aligning in different topics for us to talk about. And I've had 3 separate conversations this week of, this goes back to the excuses, and I don't want to pile on. It's easy to pile on, right? When you're talking to somebody that has a goal that how to paint a roadmap to get to that goal. But you already know in the back of your mind what you're going to hear. You're going to hear the excuses. And it can be anything. It can be any kind of excuse. No money, no whatever. But the one thing I keep coming down to is people say they don't have any time to do this. When you build brand, everybody says, I have no time. So I want to ask your opinion on that. What is your advice when people say, you guys do this for a living, so you're allowed to do it. You can have time to do this. How do you attack that, and what is your advice when people ask you that?
When people tell me they have no time,
yep,
I think it's a 3-word response. Yes, you do. Everybody, you and I have time. Realistically, if there's something, I think I don't have time is usually code for I don't want it bad enough.
Right.
Like you have time, dude. Like if you're spending, 2 hours watching Netflix when you get home, or, even if you're just like bullshitting with people during the day, like everybody has time. So like, That's not the issue. So let's push that aside right now.
Yep.
The issue is either you don't want it bad enough and it's not affecting your life, so you just don't care. Or in a lot of cases, it's I'm too afraid to see if I'm good enough to do it.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that one.
And it's easier to say, oh, I don't have time, and just push it off to the side. That's easy. 90% of people aren't going to call you on it because they're going to give you the same bullshit. Oh, I hear you.
Right.
Far more often than not, just from what we see, people are hesitant to invest all the like what if we did this show every week and it sucked? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You and I aren't wired that way, and I think we know that our talents lend themselves to this, so we don't have that issue.
Yeah.
I think far more people, it's not that I don't want to allocate 45 minutes on Friday. You know, it's what if it sucks? What if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not interesting? What if people don't care? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hang up.
Yeah.
I don't have time is just code word for a dozen other insecurities on why they don't want to do it.
So what do you tell people when they say that to you?
Well, I say, okay, fine. But then that thing you just told me you wanted 20 minutes ago, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Are you all right with that? And if it's something that's just kind of extra or bonus, you know, or extra icing on the cake, it's like, yeah, whatever. But if it's something super important, if it's their job, if it's growing their business, if it's, you know, increasing sales, you know, so they could, you know, pay for their kids' summer camps or college or stuff like that, and it's something you have to figure out, then it's like, okay, well then let's break down why you're scared. Let's break down why you don't think you're good. Mm-hmm. And usually from there, the first step is I show them what our stuff looked like the first 4 months we were in business, and we laughed together because it fucking sucked. But you learn. And the beautiful part about all of this and just what the internet looks like is you get instant feedback on if your stuff is good or if it's bad.
Yep.
And the more stuff you put out, 62% of it's going to be good and 38% is going to be bad. So you do more of the 62 and you do less of the 38, and then you just keep going. And then here we are.
I had a great conversation with a therapist friend of mine, and she's trying to build her business and trying to hire more people so that she can help. And it's a super cool business model that she's building. And we had this exact conversation. She said, how do you find the time to do all of this? I said, because for me, it's a priority thing. That's all it is. Somebody that tells me that they don't have the time to do any sort of brand building or work on their business or work on social or learn a new skill or all the things we keep talking about over and over and over, it means that this is more important to them than this. That's what they're telling me. So I told her this thing. This was kind of my big unlock on this. When I hear that excuse, I mean, I have unlocks hopefully for everything, but I said, okay. My unlock for me is before I get up and I open up an app, I think about how I'm going to contribute to that app before I scroll. So I give myself the permission to contribute, or excuse me, I give myself the permission to scroll, but only after I've contributed to the platform. I'm not saying sit there and write a blog at 5:55 in the morning while you're having coffee. I'm not saying that. Because it goes both ways, right? You can either contribute by posting on the platform, or you can contribute on the platform by consuming and giving your 2 cents on the platform. So if I want to scroll on Twitter, which for some reason first thing for me in the morning is Twitter. It's the first app I open. If something happened overnight, or especially during like presidential election season, I'm kind of a, you know, Politico head, that kind of thing. Like I want to see who dropped out of the race. I want to see what's that. But the first thing I see is my local weather person saying it's National Whatever Day. Or, you know, no, this morning there was an earthquake in Montreal, like a 3.1 earthquake. So the first thing I did was I liked his comment, and I responded back to him. I said, is that very common for that area? So there it goes. There's that one unlock, then I was allowed to do it. So back to my therapist friend, I said, realistically, how often do you get up or you find that 5 minutes waiting in line at Wegmans and you find yourself doing this? And she goes, more than I'd like to think about. I go, there you go. You add up 4 minutes here, 2.5 minutes here, 8 minutes here. We all have the time, all of us. and contribute. And she's like, okay, I think I can do that. So that's what she's going to try.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, even now, like with the screen time reports that your phone sends you.
Oh my God.
If there's ever been a doubt on just how much time you have during the day, fuck, man.
Yeah.
There it is, So, it's weird to like, even like, so like if you use you as an example, I think the other thing too is people, we talked a little bit about it, I guess Monday, people just don't comprehend the potential that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand that taking 45 minutes at lunchtime on a Friday and doing this is going to give you content for the week that you're going to see on Facebook and on Instagram, on YouTube and on LinkedIn and all that. So it gives the impression that you're everywhere and that you're constantly spending time on all of these platforms, when in reality, you're just being really smart and really intentional about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yep.
To the point where it seems that way.
Right.
And I think if more people understood that, they'd be shocked.
Yep.
On just how, not that it's easy, but that if you can make it a part of the routine, and it just becomes like getting that second coffee at 10:30, we know that this is what I'm doing at 12 o'clock on Friday, like me and Ben are doing the show.
Yep.
It gets real easy real fast.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because that's what you cut out. When we found this half an hour, I'm going to use that word loosely. When we found this half an hour every single week, all you and I did was cut the garbage out from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Because the client work still needs to get done. For me, I have to get my walking in. For, the kids, my wife, the housework, all that, none of that stopped.
Yep.
We just found it somewhere else. Where is it? Like you said, it's either the Netflix or it's the gaming time for me, or, so you subconsciously go through your mind and you say, what do I really want to work on right this moment? And that's what I talk about, priorities. It's like this it came from somewhere else. Now, what were you doing 8 weeks ago, Friday at noon? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Folding laundry or, whatever. I have the advantage of working from home. I was probably picking up some laundry or shuttling the kids somewhere if they had a half day or something. But once we block this out and you move it up the priority list, all of a sudden you're just cutting the stuff out at the bottom. You're not losing anything that's important. And I think that's where people have a hard time. When they move it up the chain, they think they're taking something from the top of the chain and throwing it away. You're not. You're getting rid of something that's on the bottom of the chain and you're throwing it away. And then you're realizing how much more efficient you can be.
So back at my desk, I have a note that I wrote to myself on my wall, which I shouldn't have done. If the landlord's listening, that's not good. But it says, I wrote, you have everything that you want bad enough. And like it's one of those things that you got to read it and then you got to read it again.
Yep.
Because anything that you want to have in any business, life, whatever, anything that you don't have, like you are the sole reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like why don't we have 40 clients instead of 24 right now? That hasn't made it far enough up my priorities yet.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You could say that about anything. And I think that that's one of those things that as soon as you just accept and acknowledge that truth, life gets real easy, man. Like, especially when you're in our situation where, you have no cap professionally as far as growth, income, fulfillment, time off, anything. Can literally do whatever I want.
Yep.
If I want to stop working Tuesdays and Fridays, I can do that tomorrow.
Yep.
So when you have that and then you literally just accept I am to blame, I am responsible, I'm in control of all that stuff, life just gets real easy, you
Yep.
know? And I think that's one of those things where when you make that leap and you buy into that and you're like, all right, I'm going to control this.
Yep.
You know, if I want to grow the business by X, if I want to make this much money, like I can go do that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gets super, super simple because I've made that leap where like I'm going to succeed or fail based on my talents and my work ethic and my input.
Yep.
And I think where people get fucked up is they're afraid to make that leap. And understandably so. Not many people do this.
Yep.
You know, most people, they go to their 9 to 5, you know, they relatively productive, they check just enough boxes to get through the day and they go home.
Yep.
They don't have that level of internal accountability. Mm-hmm. Not to say everybody should go start their own business and do this. 90% of people shouldn't. That's why 90% of businesses fail. But I think a lot more people could, or at the very least could do some version of it.
Yep.
But you hit this point of, what if I'm not good enough?
Right.
I don't know enough about that. Mm-hmm. What if that platform's dead in 2 years? There's always a million what ifs that are going to keep you from doing something. And I just think that, like we've seen it. You know, you see so many people that have the talent, that have the ability, that have the willingness to work. They're just so afraid to put themselves out there.
Yep.
Because then if you're not good enough, then what?
Right.
You know, so it's weird to think about and to look at, but I just laugh like when people like, it's not a time thing, you know, it's literally just a desire, and are you willing to take that chance?
Yep. Which
people aren't.
No, they're not, because they you know, I think people are crippled by other people's opinions. I really do. And this is something I talk about with my kids all the time. I don't care what, you know, as long as your intentions are good, and as long as you know, respect people and respect their space and respect their time, like it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It doesn't. And that's a really hard thing to do. I probably didn't get to that point till probably 2-3 years ago in my life. I'm a 42-year-old man, you know, that's a hard thing to do. But the moment you strip that away, and the moment I put, you know, stupid selfies on Facebook and stupid selfies on LinkedIn, and have a hopefully a semi-interesting caption that's one person is going to get value from, that's a huge unlock. And I think to your point is, if people could do that and simply say, I'm going to do this with no repercussions, 0 repercussions, whether it be personally, financially, professionally, whatever your holdback is, I think people would just have an enormous, more success than they know what to do with. Oh, yeah. Because it takes one thing. This is the post I saw last night. This was from, have you ever heard the story about, his name's D. Kirk. He works for Gary Vee. He was a bouncer at a nightclub in Turning Stone in Verona. What he did, he's a SoundCloud rapper too. And he just spits all these rhymes, and he's really good. But he wanted to do video editing work for Vayner. So they, of course, you know, he tweeted about the job post, and he got 150 applicants. So including D. Kirk, who's from Syracuse. So he goes, how can I stand out from all these other just mundane, silly applications? And to your point, he didn't care about what people were going to think about it. So here's what he did. He recorded his application on his phone as a rap. Oh. Then he got no traction when he put it on Facebook and Twitter. 0. Nobody watched it. He hit up one of the guys that works for Vayner on Reddit, tagged him on it on Reddit, got 75,000 views. 2 weeks later, he's in Gary's office getting a job offer. But it took all of that ahead of time. So that was his post, was, it takes one piece of content for you to get to your goal. One. And I just had this conversation this morning. with we had an onboarding call with a beverage client, and I said the same thing to her. I said, your moment is right now. If you don't take advantage of this moment right now, somebody else is having this conversation across the country to launch the exact same brand, the exact same style that you want to do this. I said, so we either go now or we don't go. And in 6 months, when you call me and say it's time to go, I'm going to say the time has passed. So all these people, not only is it about putting it out there and not caring about what other people think of you, it's knowing the timing and being there when somebody is going to consume your stuff.
The weird part, and it's fun, and like I just feel like I'm gonna owe like my family like a lot of money at the end of this, but I get more and more grateful for the upbringing that I had every day, because from the get, none of that out there mattered. It mattered the kind of person that you are and how you treat people, from the CEO to the janitor. That was it. It didn't matter what we got in grades. Like you had to try, like you had to pass.
Yeah.
Didn't matter what we did, extracurricular, sport, none of that mattered. But the second any of us were just like punk kids and like got out of line or were extra douchey, like we got our asses kicked. But like that was what mattered.
Yeah.
And I just, every day I'm like, man, that all of this is because of that.
Yep.
And then at the same time, and how I describe it to people now, because especially I feel bad for younger kids because they've been under the social media microscope forever.
Yep.
Everything's based on likes. I understand the irony that the marketing guy's saying that. But the biggest thing I tell people is like, if they're not beating you, what the fuck do you care what they think? Like I laugh the people that get upset from other people's opinions that just don't matter in their life. And even if you want to look at arbitrary metrics, they're not even close to you. So who cares? Like you would never take like diet and workout advice from somebody who's in worse shape than you, would you?
You love that metaphor. It keeps working though, doesn't it?
It just makes sense, And it's weird. Like I have like a handful of people whose opinion I really respect and that I listen to.
Yep.
But like outside of that, like I just don't give a shit.
Yep.
Like I really don't. Like we'll be at an event and like people will start like unsolicitedly giving me advice on what I should do here. In the back of my head, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like you're not even here yet.
Right.
I'm on step 2 of 100. I got a long way to go, but like you're not even on step what? and when you break it down, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah. But like it's crazy. Like some of like my best friends, they're starting a business and like they're getting like self-conscious because their older sibling is like talking shit about them.
Right.
Like, oh, they're never going to make it. Oh, they're just playing house. Da, 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 da. And like, meanwhile, like this guy, like, like, it's not like he's like setting the world on fire. I'm like, if you could trade places with him right now, would you? And I'm like, absolutely not. And I'm like, am I missing something? Like, what are we talking about?
Yep.
And it's weird when you break it down. It's so obvious.
Yep.
Where it's like, yeah, who gives a fuck what that person thinks?
Exactly.
Whereas like, but in the moment, like it happened with us. Like now it's easy to look at KBL and be like, oh, this guy's approaching it.
Right.
But like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, dude, you think people are going to pay you to post on Instagram, bro? Like, okay. Like, why don't you go get a real job?
Right.
And like, you just look at stuff like that and you're like, but that's what stops people.
That's what stops people.
Like Joe Smith around the corner, like makes one comment that he thinks that you're full of shit and you're not going to make it. And rather than like, all right, I'll show you, Joe Smith, come talk to me in 2 years. Yep. Everybody's like, shit, maybe he's right.
Right.
And that's all it takes.
So let's do this. Let's call each other out like we like to do on this show. and let's ballpark within the last 24 hours. What is the dumbest thing you spent time on? And how much time did you spend doing it? Yeah. And if you had something to replace it with, what would it be?
Mine is so easy. So we have been, let's just say it makes sense for me to get more in touch with NASCAR.
Okay.
So I've been just doing homework on NASCAR in general, which in itself long-term will be productive. But last night on YouTube, I went down this rabbit hole of there's these series of videos of like NASCAR drivers like getting in fights and like uncensored, like their radio, like talking shit to each other, like, and they wreck each other. And like I burned a good hour just watching YouTube videos of NASCAR drivers spinning each other out and then threatening to kill each other. Which it was not productive whatsoever, but my God, if you ever feel like wasting 45 minutes, it was hilarious.
My dogs are about to go nuts. I got the UPS guy across the street. All right, so this is gonna be eerily similar. So I was sick of the political coverage last night. It was kind of a slow day. Like I said, I like to keep myself informed. So I switched off the news channel, and there was just garbage on TV. I'm talking like 9:30 at night. And so, as you know, I'm a big wrestling fan. I've always have been. I always will be. That is my soap opera. I do the whole thing. I do SummerSlam, WrestleMania, everything. So last night, it was, because WrestleMania is coming up in a few weeks, that is one of only 2 times that my favorite wrestler of all time, The Undertaker, is wrestling. So he shows up twice a year only to the big events. So the vortex I got sucked into last night. Quiet, girls. It's going. Hey. It's over. It's over. They hate the UPS man. So the vortex last night was I was trying to find the entire first match The Undertaker ever wrestled back in like 1991 when I was a teenager. I found it, and I watched 45 minutes of The Undertaker's first 3 matches last night.
That's dope.
I loved it. Yep. I loved it.
Listen, man, sometimes you need that, you know, like that weirdly, there's another one that I have to say just because I feel guilty about it and I just want to get it off my chest. So I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
Ever. I'm that guy. I never thought I'd be that guy, but I'm that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless it's like one of my sports teams, I'm not watching it.
Yep.
But like I was feeling under the weather, and in my wise old age at 31, I've realized that when you are sick, you have to just downshift a bit and just get better. Otherwise, you're going to be sick for a week. So I went home and I turned on TV, and I forget the name of the show, but Jay Cutler's wife has a reality show, and it was on. And I recognized Jay Cutler, and I started watching it. And I'm just like, the more I watched, I'm like, man, Jay Cutler's kind of fucking hilarious. So I literally went on YouTube and I searched this show, and there's all these clips, like 30 minutes of Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler. And I watched all of them.
Oh my God, that's funny.
All of them. If you ever get a chance, give it a shot. But
I'm working with a Bravo star right now on his beverage company in Long Island. I won't mention it because I don't have his permission, but it sounds like a very similar kind of show. So
is it that one you sent me last week? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that one was, but if it's anything like this, or like if Jay Cutler ever calls you and wants to do one, like I'm in for free because that's just that.
So the point is, the bottom line for me is we all have time.
Mm-hmm.
We all can find it. There's nothing wrong with going down a rabbit hole of WWF 1980s wrestling on YouTube. There's nothing wrong with it. Only if you're not complaining the next morning about something changing in your life. Right? There's the hook, right? So do it, trust me, downshift all you want. It is very healthy to do. Probably more of it. But during the time when it's on, and when you want something to happen, it's replacing that with something else that you don't want to do. That's the kicker for me.
Yeah, and I think too, the other big part of it is just looking at where you're at, big picture wise, and like if you're doing that, and it's just another day out of the year, cool, But when you're in a situation where like you're not 1,000,000% sure like how you're paying rent this month,
right.
or you're like it's tough, like we've lived it,
Everybody has.
It's far easier to call that out when they're dire straits staring at you in the face, where when you've worked really hard the other 350 days out of the year, where 45 minutes of Undertaker wrestling isn't going to kill you.
Right.
I think that's another big part of it that we got to talk about.
Yep.
Because everybody is so quick to talk about breaks they're going to take or vacations or all that. But it takes months, if not years, of grinding to get to that point.
Yep.
Where you kind of earn that.
Exactly.
So I think that's a big part of it too that we got to talk about.
Yep. Let's kick that for another show. But this was super topical for me. People just, it's so funny that my life is now happening in themes, like weekly themes. Mm-hmm. It's like, but I'm not picking them. It's not like I'm emoting those things. People are coming to me asking these questions, and for me, it's just that's it. If you want to build brand, you need to be on the platforms where you want people to see stuff and make it part of your day. And I'm not saying eliminating a top thing. I'll say it again. It's so important. You're not eliminating a top thing. You're not neglecting your children. You're not getting your work done. You're just getting rid of something from the bottom. That's it.
That you're never going to know is missing in the first place.
You're never going to know is missing in the first place. So I think that's a good spot to end it, my man.
I dig it. That was good. Very Cavalieri is the name of that show, by the way. Thank you for the I'm just.
You got to say shout out to Jay Cutler and what he has going on post football.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, dude, that was good. I think that was super topical. I wake up some Friday mornings and I'm like, fuck, what are we gonna talk about? And you send me that text and I'm like, all right, here we go. So
and that's the thing is we can go back, talk about a fire hose of content. We're gonna be able to go back and replay a clip from the previous shows and then jump off of what our new experiences are based on what we were talking about before. So it's just gonna be never-ending content, man. That's the whole fun of it.
When Jay Cutler wins an Emmy or whatever they give you for TV shows, you better fucking believe I'm playing that clip back just to show my TV prowess.
We're gonna have to hire a transcriber for this thing at some point.
1,000,000%.
Have a good weekend, my man. Appreciate you.
Back at you, brother.
Talk to you.
See you.